Hello, 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 guys. Let me get the camera going. Hello. Hi, guys. Happy Sunday. Hi, Lori. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Molly Ann and Cecilia and Yvonne and Debbie and Janet. Hello, Cheryl and Lynn and Nancy and Mary and Monty and Rod over on, or Leah, excuse me. Is it Lee or Leah? I meant to ask you that, and I might have already done so. And Lisa, aloha. Oh, via Phoenix, like Phoenix, Arizona. Hello, hello, guys. Hi, Bev and Sandy Pyle. Love your name. Sandy Pyle, are you a Sandra or a Sandy? I'm a Sandra, but only my father, and sometimes my husband will, write it on a card or something. So very excited about the lesson. Oh, thank you, Cindy. I love cherry blossoms too. So lets me know that you can hear me and see me okay, and that all is good. Yes, caring for family. Oh, well, I hope you have a wonderful trip. Hello, Anne. So we'll give it a minute. I wrote down who the first one was on YouTube and who the first one was on Facebook. So we're streaming to both. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm Sandy McTeer, and this is Sundays in the Studio with me. I have to adjust my chair again. I try to do at least 2 to 3 live lessons a month. Hello, Patty. Hello, Glenna. But I also have a membership group, so I do that 3 to 4 times a month as well. So anyway, why am I not seeing comments over here? Oh, there they go. They just weren't scrolling. Hello, Suzanne. I hope you had a wonderful birthday. Hi, Letitia. Hi, Darlene. There they go. They kind of stopped scrolling for a minute. Lori Coates, did I just see you post a page over on the group? I was getting something set up. I'm going to have to go back and look. Receiving you down under. Thanks, Vaughn. So, just got back from a class. Keeper of the Wild, rescuing small wild animals. Oh, Robin, that sounds amazing. My grandmother did a lot with the wildlife. What is that? Something Wildlife Foundation. It was WWF or something like that. And then she also, when I think I went up there, and she was in her late 80s, and she used to volunteer at the Patuxent Wildlife Refuge in Maryland. And she's just always been an animal lover and a bird watcher and bird lover. And so I have a lot of her a lot. I have some of her prints that my mom gave me that she had before she passed. Oh, Lori, I'll have to go look at it. So I'm so proud of you. Hi, Deb. Hi, Judy. Hello, Darlene and Peg. Okay, so on YouTube, it was Cheryl D'Agostino. Hopefully that's how you say your name. And on Facebook, the first comment that I saw pop up was Lori Skiffington. So ladies, message me and let me know what e-packet you'd like, and I will get that sent off to you after I hear from you. We will select our 3 designs next Saturday. Oh, thank you, Donna. So excited. Yes, and let's talk soon because we need to work out all those details, but super, super excited. So I will be in Newport News area is it the first weekend in May, I think? Anyway, everything is up on my website, finally. Let me see if I can look through the bottom of my glasses. And so on my website, if you go to seminars, conventions, I put a list, finally, updated all of the things so far that I have coming up. I have 4 things that are in the works I'm waiting on dates for. So anyway, you can find out where I'm going to be and if I'm going to be close to you or in your area, or if I'm not and you want someone to come paint and teach your group, you can reach out to me by email or through my website, and I would love to come paint with you. So, hi, Janie. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Jane and Elizabeth. All right. Hello, Deb Bloomfield. All righty. And Linda. So I'm just going to hit this little thing because I think it's super cool. A new little feature they added. So all's good. Okay. D'Agostino. D'Agostino? Sounds like a very, I don't know what it sounds like. Italian? D'Agostino? Alrighty, love the great painting in back of you. Thank you, Judy. I had that one that I taught in 2000, and I'm very bad about this. I taught that to a group at the very first seminar I ever taught. The ladies over in Alabama, bless them, kept asking me to come over, and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. They asked me at the Hoot convention, the painting convention, I think like in 2013. Finally, by the time I decided that I was going to travel teach was 2015. It was my first seminar in Alabama, and that was one of the pieces. And I found it the other day looking for another piece I'm teaching to BAFTA, the UK, in May. Can't find it still, might have to repaint it. But I came across that one, and I've always loved it. So I thought I'd put it up on my wall. So maybe I should do something with it, right? Because like I said, I'm pretty bad about that. I'll do something for a magazine and then kind of forget about it. So hi, Sue. Hi, Christina. Thank you. I hope your foot is healing. Me too. All right, it's 4:06. We're not going to take too much more time. Oh, you got your happy mail today. That is wonderful, Deb. Happy to hear that. Getting ready, dinner ready for the grands. No problem, Cindy. No apology necessary. Happy you're here. Hello, Janet. Okay, yes, that is correct. The correct way to say it. Thank you. I never want to say somebody's name wrong. I get McTire, McTiernan, and I'm like, there's no N. There's no N in my last name. Anyway, yes, and hi, Cindy. Good to see you on, and thank you, Donna. Me too. So there is a new magazine. I should have put the thing up. There's a new magazine coming out, and the lady behind it, Miho Halsey, incredible, always very supportive of the painting industry, and she did a lot for the Society of Decorative Painters for the last several decades. And she's now in running this new magazine, and I'm in the first issue, which is super, super exciting. I was very honored to be asked. So that will be out very soon, and as soon as I hear about it and when you can subscribe, I'll let you guys know. So I get a million different pronunciations. I can imagine, Bev. Let me just see. Cecilski? Is it Cecilski? Let me know if that's right, Bev. So, all righty. So yeah, you ladies, let me know what e-packets you want, and I will get that out to you. All righty. Oh, thank you, Margie. I'm excited about the new magazine. And then also real quick, because we've got about 3 minutes, I really want to start at 4:10. So I've been having a blast on my Glowforge this week, my laser cutter, and hopefully I'm going to have some things added to my website, over the next couple of weeks. I did want to remind you, I know I brought it up last week, but OKC Painting Palooza is a painting convention. It's normally in October in Oklahoma, but they've had to move it. New location, new management in charge, I should say that. Darla, Jeanette, and her team now are running it. And so new location, new dates. So I'm going to pop this up so that you can see it. And at the bottom there, okcpaintingpalooza.com. It is in Oklahoma. It's a fantastic convention. If you're looking to go to a convention, I hope you will consider coming to this one. There are a lot of times that we get to get together, like on the first night that the trade show opens, and we decorate our booth. This year's Halloween. I'm already starting to plan. And then there are dinners and auction and a bunch of other things that are just kind of a community feel, which I love about this convention. So anyway, close, but it's Silsky. The hotel rooms are full at the main hotel. They are full at the main hotel, but there are hotels right by it that you could book and get into. So hello, Linda down in Texas. Hello, Diane Hornberger. All righty. Hi, Carrie and Charlene. So anyway, it's just been a busy week. I finally got a deadline done that needed to be done. And I painted on glass, which is super cool. I don't think I have it. Nope, I didn't put it up. the Hello Spring with the dogwood. That's in an upcoming issue of painting. Oh, no, no, no. Of Pixelated Palette. The other one I just finished is Painting World Magazine. And have some fun things for us next week. It's not going to be a full-on lesson, but we're going to have fun and we're going to play with product. So, oh, thank you, Donna. Freshly washed about 2 hours ago. Thank you. So, hi, Julie in Louisiana. Hi, Janie in Washington. All right, there we go. And Denise. All right, guys. So I got happy mail this week. I have some very talented friends, and my friend Marianne, not only is she a talented painter, but she is the most amazing card maker and paper crafter. So Marianne, and I always say her last name wrong too, Andresia. Anyway, it's horrible. I say Tracy Moreau's last name wrong too. It's Morrow. Anyway, so this beautiful card, and all of it's, I mean, it's a work of art, and I save every single one that she's made me. So isn't it beautiful? The detail and she always signs it, her and Stella, her sweet Cocker Spaniel dog. Thank you, Marianne. You know, I'm putting that with all of my others. And then Cookie Trent, adore you, my friend, too. And she always makes me these beautiful cards. So, and I love the little touch on the back. So, super sweet. And again, just great, wonderful pieces of art, I think. So, what was that? Oh, thank you, Chris Avola, for putting that on. Yes, Pixelated Palette is going strong throughout the rest of this year. And then after that, unfortunately, it won't be. So if you want to subscribe and get in on the content, I highly recommend it. It is a fantastic, sent stars at work today. Margie, thank you so much. So if you guys don't know, stars on Facebook, go to World Central Kitchen, the money from that. And we had over $700 last year between YouTube money and Facebook that I was able to send on behalf of y'all too, to the World Central Kitchen. So any money on Facebook, any money on YouTube, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anyway, back to Pixelated Palette. It's a lot of work. Let me tell you guys, it's a lot of work. When I was editor of Interactive Artist Magazine, I think one of the highlights of my career, I absolutely loved it, but it was so time consuming and so much work. I know the ladies at Painting World Magazine and Pixelated Palette, and now Miho doing this magazine. You know, it's a lot of work, and if it's not supported and the numbers aren't there to subscribe, then it's really not worth it. And I don't know about y'all, but I want this industry to really succeed. So I have probably looked through one issue of Painting World Magazine, and it was the one I just got actually in the last several months, just because I've been busy. But I have them stacked so I can go back and look. I like to save them so I can go through and look. Not that I probably will paint anything in them, but it's just nice to see other artists and my friends that are published, and again to also support that magazine. So, and magazines. It is such a great cause. They are right now feeding in Ukraine and in a part that's not so safe. So Linda Johnson, Pixelated Palette is going to go through the rest of this year, and then after that, they will no longer be publishing the magazine. So, but yes, going strong through the end of 2023. So if you're looking for some inspiration, it is a fantastic online magazine that you can download and paint what you want to, print off what you want to. And again, just support another thing in this industry that needs our support. So hopefully that makes sense. Hello, Mary Jane Field. Good to see you on. Hi, Pat. What's the new magazine called? Lisa, it is on my page. The Artistry, hold on. I should have printed it off to show you. Hi, Denise. Hi, Louise Long. Is there a packet? Judy, I think there is, but I'll have to look. But I am going to do it in acrylics, and we're actually going to be doing grapes soon in the membership group. So I will let you know. It is sad, Linda. It is. It was sad when SDP went away. It was sad when the Decorative Painter, is that being produced right now? I don't know. Even Interactive Artist Magazine, which was one of the first that was doing lessons and video lessons. And again, I absolutely loved being a part of that. So I do too. I do too. Artistry Today. Thank you, Molly Ann. Okay, so I shared my happy mail with you guys. Let's take care of some giveaways because I'm 5 minutes over. It's my show. I guess I can be 5 minutes over, right? Hi, Linda. So happy to see you here. Hi, Mary. All right, let's go right down here. Hello, Marlene. So I hope all y'all in the midst of these winter storms, you're staying nice and warm and safe. I actually put something summery on today because I'm ready for summer. How about y'all? I want to skip spring and go right to summer. Okay, so we had some stencils and we had these stencils as the other giveaway from last week, and then some brushes. So this set had just kind of a hodgepodge of stencils that I had. A Lori Speltz, a Deco Art, an M Square, which is Moreau McTier, and then another Deco Art one. And the winner of that is, funny enough, Cheryl D'Agostino. When you message me what e-packet you want that you won today, let me know your mailing address, and I will get these mailed off to you. Okay? Move those out of the way. And then I finally was able to get these up on my website. So they're they're new to my website. This one's back in stock, and this is gingham and shifter. You can do plaids and things like that, or just lines if you need lines on something. So those three, and my laser cut dragonfly, which you guys, oh my gosh, has been flying out of my house in a bunch of orders. So these laser cut dragonflies, and let me see where I put the name. There it is. Okay. Kay Merriman, message me your mailing address and I will get that shipped off to you. Okay. So let's move that. I don't want to throw that on the ground. And then I had a set of brushes. So last week's lesson we did, what did we do? Flips, folds, things like that. And I used the 3/8 angle brush for almost the entire thing. And the name that came up on the wheel, I was excited to see all y'all's names and super excited to see Nancy Maroney Richard, you won the brushes. So message me. Well, I have your mailing address. No need to message. I'm going to move those over because I have it in your membership or paperwork. Let's see here. Nope, I want winter to stay a while. Oh my goodness. I know what you mean, Linda, but I'm in Georgia and I like hot weather. I like the heat. Hello, Christy Lyon. Molly Ann, your house, your rules. Absolutely, right? Yes. Okay. So this week I had one more. Hello. I almost forgot this one. So I did these on my laser machine. I don't even have a set for me. I have not cut them yet, but this set, which is so stinking cute. And then this little snowman as well. And let me see where I put the name. I don't know where I put the name. Oh, there it is. Pull that off. Okay. Eileen Peters, message me your mailing address and I will get those off to you. Okay. So Eileen Peters, you get both of those, that set of snowman laser cut little pieces. Like I said, haven't even done anything with them. Don't have a set for myself, but you get the first set. Okay. And then when you guys order from me, a couple of things let me just explain real quick. When you guys order, I'm going to zoom in just a little. When you order on my website, if you order an e-packet, it comes from a company called WeTransfer. In fact, let me just sit down and tell you real quick. So it comes from a company called WeTransfer. It's a free download system service. I email those. So remember I was having website issues and I contacted my server, Vistaprint, who bought out my host. They also bought out Wix. So if you've got a website and it's with Wix, Vistaprint now owns it. they're transitioning everything over to that platform. Now, when I get transitioned to that platform, it's going to be instant download. You can create an account on my website once that's done. It's not done yet. So if you order an e-packet, I physically have to go in and email it to you through this service that I use so that you can download it. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't show up in your inbox within at least an hour, because I'm usually right on my email. If it's not in your inbox, check your spam and junk folder. If it's not there, reach out to me. I don't want you to have to wait. So that's one thing. The other thing is I do not charge shipping up front. My website is set up to charge by the item. Stupid, right? Yes, because it overcharges, and I was refunding thousands and thousands and thousands of shipping overages, which cost me a lot of money through PayPal. So I send an invoice for shipping, and once that's paid, then I ship it and you get your tracking number, okay? So just to be clear, it says it on my website, it says it at checkout, but sometimes, you know, if you're in a hurry and you want to do, I know those can be overlooked. But shipping charges, you'll get an invoice separate, and that's what it's for. It says it's for shipping, because I don't want to overcharge you for shipping. Like I told you guys, I got an order in last week. The box was like this big. It would have cost $9 to ship through the postal service, and I was charged $27. So that kind of makes me not so happy. And I don't want to overcharge you guys. So that's why you're going to get an invoice for shipping when you order on my website. Okay? Okay, PSA over. Let's go back down here. So what I try to do is I try to throw in some little goodies. So you're not a snowman person. So I try to throw in some little goodies, and these are just from the Dollar Tree. And I thought, I wonder if I put them on my laser and I can just take some pieces and parts from other designs and laser them on. Is that not the cutest? On these little carrots. So when you order from me, these go out a lot of times with a little stencil or something else, little freebie in your orders. Okay. So, thank you guys. All right, let's do some giveaways for this week. How about that? The first one is a set of stencils, and you can't go wrong with Harlequin. I love Harlequin. Hi, Sandy, while you're watching while you're making dinner. So, a 1/2 inch, an inch, and just the all-over smaller Harlequin stencils. Again, these are M Square, Moreau McTier. You can get these stencils. Let me see where I say that. Where do I have that on here? I don't think I do. But you can get them on my website, and you can also get them right there. Okay? So my website, Tracy Moreau's website, for the M Square stencils. But anyway, one lucky winner. Like, comment, share. That's all you have to do to enter my giveaways, and you'll be entered to win. Okay? So the next ones, my friends at General Pencil. These are watercolor pencils, the Kimberly watercolor pencils, 12 different colors in there. I'm trying to just see. You can draw with them, and then you can get a brush and wet them. Because they're watercolor pencils. Anywho's, so there are 12 in this set, so another lucky winner for those. Thank you, Mary Jane. Me too. Hi, Martha. Okay, the next is for some stamps. So 2 of my stamp sets, and then this beautiful sunflower spray Stampendous stamp, another winner for those. All right, all you gotta do, like, comment, share, and you'll be entered. Okay, so let's talk about our piece. And so, I'm looking right there. It's funny because there's a little lag of time between YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so cherry blossoms. If you missed the lesson for the background, which, do I have it here? Yes. So this was the background I had done. Notice it's a little bit lighter than my original that I had done, which had a little bit darker on the corners and stuff. So if you do the background, I highly recommend that you put a little bit more of that slate gray, and the other color was, I think I had a little gray storm in there and some black and white, just to see how it frames it in. So it's just a little bit darker on those edges. And then the bokeh background with that heart stencil. I wanted to show you something. Let's see if I can do it here. The reason I taped it off, because someone messaged me and said, why did you tape it off? Why do you have to tape it off? With something this thin, if you don't tape it off, what's going to happen is, let me get some, and this is my go-to because I get this question asked a lot. My go-to Jack Richardson Gray Matters palette. You can get it at Home or Hobby Lobby, Michael's. I get mine on Amazon. All right, so if I did, let's do some white. So if you have this stencil and you want to do that background, I highly recommend you tape off 3 or 4 hearts so that when you go in and stencil them, I'm going to show you both ways. Okay, so this one is the taped off area. Okay, and if you remember from the lesson 2 weeks ago, again, if you did not see that and you want to do the background, you can find that on my YouTube channel. But so notice how you get the shape. It's just within that heart because the tape is blocking it off. But if I come over here and do one here, no matter how careful I am just to try and stay within that heart, do you see what happens? You get the edge from the other heart next to it. Okay, so what's your gray tablet called? It is the Jack Richardson Gray Matters paper palette. I like the 9x12. It's manageable for my workplace station. So that's what I use. Okay. So what I did, and again, thank you guys so much for y'all that got the e-packet. If you're looking for it, you can find it on my website there. And don't forget to use that discount code, guys, because you can get a discount. So I base coated the words with white. I base coated the flowers with white and a mix of baby pink. Now, the reason I did that was I had this color, Baby Blush. It was a little too light, and I would say a little bit more on the peach side, and I wanted something a little more pink to go with these cherry blossoms. So I did baby pink. I would say 1 part to maybe 3 parts white. I had more white than I did pink. All right, let me show you this. It's not closing, right? Do yourself a favor. Get those things off so that you can close your paint and it won't dry out. Okay, so I already have that on there. I have white. I'll go ahead and put a little bit of pink on there. The branch I base coated with asphaltum and my go-to Payne's Gray. Hi, Carol. Oh, you're welcome, Donna. So this is the fluid acrylic. You can mix it with your regular Americana acrylics or whatever acrylic you use because they're compatible. They work beautifully together, actually. All right, so that's what I base coated the branches with. And they look kind of dark, don't they, compared to how they're going to end up. So let's take care of the branch first before we mess with any of the flowers. And I'm going to get out a little bit of deep ochre. If you don't have deep ochre, you can use raw sienna. Will work nicely. Get a little bit of that. And, thank you, Peg. I think the M square stencils are great quality as well. And great designs. So, okay, so I have that. Let's get a little Payne's Gray. And I'm also going to get, there's a dove in my backyard. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's singing. So a little bit of asphaltum. And let me get that off. I used to leave those, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, my paint's dried out. Well, hello, it's my fault. So, alrighty. So I'm going to load up the 3/8 angle. I did get in some new angles this week and got them up on the website, but the faux squirrel. If you like, let me see if I have one. I don't know if I have one here. If you like the Deco Art Traditions brushes, you will love these. Dynasty makes them as well, the Traditions. I don't have one. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to use the 3/8 angle. And I'm going to use, hi, Verdi. Verdi, did you see that you won one of my giveaways last week or the week before? I need your mailing address. Okay. Alrighty, so a little bit of asphaltum on the toe of the brush. Now, if it migrates over, it's okay for this piece. I am going to move this over so that I can zoom in. I really would like to keep my palette so that you can see, and if I go off, I'll try and move it over. But I have a little bit of water in my brush, asphaltum, and a touch of deep ochre. Okay, so deep ochre, and I'm just kind of mixing those both together. I'm going to start a little dark, and I'm going to start working my way into some light color. Okay, so what I want to do first, excuse me, oh, and I need a little warm white. Hello. I almost forgot. Just a touch of warm white. Little touch. So asphaltum, deep ochre, warm white. Okay, and what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to just pull tiny little strokes. It doesn't matter if you go from this direction or that direction, but they're just little, almost like a little hashtag slide on the chisel edge. I'm not using any pressure. I'm just doing these little tiny strokes. And we're going to do this a couple of times. We're going to do this with some additional colors. And then there's a way to bring it all together. Okay, so don't worry about the light and the dark right now. We're just trying to get these lines on while we're still leaving some of that background color showing. All right, and then up in here is going to be a little tricky, so just get that toe in there. If you get it on the flower, just wipe it off. It's so under that flower anyway, you're not going to be able to see much of it. So, okay, and then, you know, kind of turn it when you get to a flower so you can have that toe right next to it. So again, asphaltum, some deep ochre, a little bit of warm white. All right, now I've texted on my painting group that I won a prize. Oh, you're so welcome, Kay. You're so welcome. Just message me your mailing address and I'll get that off to you this week. Okay, so just little dashes. It's basically just giving that bark, that branch and twigs some texture. I think I did something very similar on the Bless Our Nest piece that I did, oh my gosh, either last year or the year before. Okay, again in there, you're not going to be able to see much, but again, we don't want to just leave it without something. Okay, so I'm just going to rinse that because my paint kind of went over. And then I'm going to do a little bit more with just deep ochre and warm white. And you can kind of play around with it. If you want it brighter, see how that's, so again, just tiny little lines. Now I will keep these a little bit more on the upper side of that branch. So if like this is the more highlighted side, that's where I have more of the shading. You know, put a little bit more of that little stroke in that area and not near the bottom. Again, just a little there. You can always switch to a smaller angle brush if you needed to, like a quarter. I just like the length of that one. And again, I just have the toe loaded so I can pull the whole thing. Now the fix is, I love to share when you can do a fix. Wrong color, Sandy. So let me show you something. If you do this, let's say we do it up here. Hello. Get on camera, Sandy. I wasn't even on camera when I did that, was I? Okay, so if I put this here, and I'm going to keep going. See how I'm covering up all the bottom color? You kind of lose your, well, not kind of, you do. You lose the shape of that branch. It just becomes flat and one color. So do yourself a favor. If you do that, come back with some of the asphaltum and some Payne's Gray, and you're just going to repeat that step, bringing some of that color back in. So there's no need to repaint it. You're just going to introduce that color back in. And then again, you can come back in with your lighter and just do fewer strokes. Okay, so I do want to get a little bit on that twig and that twig there. Since you guys missed those, the camera was zoomed in too much. Again, I want to get a little on that twig. Okay, now I'm going to rinse that out. Yes, I love the background too. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to take that angle brush and rinse it out and move on to like a number 8 flat or so. Get it wet. Pick up some asphaltum, but I want to make it inky. Okay, so just a little inky consistency with some water. And I'm going to do a little bit of a wash. A little wash right over it. Now what that does is it kind of softens. It's a neutralizer. It just softens. But when it hits that brighter section on the branch, oh, I love it. Okay, don't worry about the flowers. I'm going to base coat where it went over. Anyway, so just a little bit of a wash brings it all together. Okay, and then let's dry that. Oh, you're so welcome, Bertie. You're welcome. Hi, Judy. Okay, so while that's drying, let me just bring this one up so you can see those long strokes, right? You can see those tiny little strokes, and we're going to add a little bit more. But what I love about them is that it's not all cookie cutter. It's not, you know, just brown, and then I'm going to put dark here and some light here, and there are variations in the color, and I love painting that way. Again, so it's not cookie cutter. You have variation. It just lends itself to being a little bit more natural. Okay, so I'm going to rinse that angle brush out again. And I am going to start with a little bit of shading. So I'll turn that so you guys can see it. My hand out of the way. On the angle brush, a little bit of asphaltum and Payne's Gray. Oop, too much water. Okay. And then we want to float that color right along. If you go out, just push it right back on. Right along the bottom of that branch. Let's see if you can see that. Okay, so see how that's starting to darken it up? But I need more. I need more Payne's Gray. It's not dark enough for me. Okay, so a little Payne's Gray. And then right here, on that little bend. See how that accentuated that bend, that little bit of shading right here. Okay, I don't even want that to go all the way up. I just want it to be more right in there. So asphaltum, Payne's gray, work that in. And again, we will do that. I'm gonna give you whiplash going back and forth. What color is the lighter brown? Wendy, that is the asphaltum with some warm white, which we're still gonna lighten it up. It's still too dark, but I wanna get these shadows in. And I still am gonna do a wash as well, another wash. So right where those flowers meet the branch, and then just along the bottom edge of those twigs and branch, asphaltum, Payne's gray. Right in there, again, where it meets that flower. Okay, let's turn that over. Okay, so it's starting to take some shape, right? So I'm going to rinse that out. I'm going to come in with asphaltum and warm white. Asphaltum and warm white. Work that in on your palette. You can see that there on my palette. And I want to be a little bit more kind of methodical about where this is going to go. Don't be afraid to do that with your finger just to kind of soften it out. Short, choppy little strokes, making sure to leave space with that underneath color. A little bit up there. Again, I think those little twigs probably have enough, although I do like the one up here that has a little bit more of that yellow. So every time you do it, again, because you're not just base coating, highlighting, shading, you're going to get something slightly different depending on where you place that color or the stroke that you put there. And just go with it. Don't sit there and try and go, okay, Sandy has this on her design, it has to go here. No, it doesn't. No, it does not. Okay, so a little bit brighter in here. Layering, layering, layering. You don't have to get it done in one little fell swoop of having your brush loaded. All right, I'm going to rinse it. I'm going to come back and pick up some asphaltum, a little bit of, very little asphaltum, some deep ochre, and some white, titanium white. It's just going to make it a little bit brighter for us. Okay, now if you feel like you have too much on your brush, swipe it across a paper towel, because look how little I have on my brush. You can control where you put it and how much you put on when you have just a little bit of paint. Okay, again, now I'm kind of concentrate on getting more of a highlight on. I want a little bit more white. Okay, but you don't want to end up with just a line. So again, kind of skipping around. And I try not to put it, like right up against that flower, because there's going to be more of a shadow there. So these brighter colors, that asphaltum and a little bit of white, that deep ochre and a little bit of white, that tiny touch of the asphaltum in there, just that tiny touch of asphaltum, again, just gives it a little continuity. To me, it just helps it not stick out so much. But I love that kind of yellowy tone from the deep ochre. right here on that branch. I loved that. Okay, Skippy. It's kind of skipping around. Do I have that piece in here? I do. Let me get that. It hangs in my studio because I took this class with her. It's one of my favorite pieces of art that I've been given. Actually, I won this in her class, but Trudy Beard, God rest her soul. But look at that branch, guys. It's all chippy and fun, and this is with water-soluble oils. But I love just the lines that give the look of, the impression of that having a really barky looking branch, right? Barky. Anywho's, so love this. I don't know why that just hit me, that piece, and it hangs in my studio all the time. Okay, so a little bit more. You can get carried away. You could keep going. Try not to get carried away and keep going, but the fix is always going to be too backtracking. So if you get too light, go back to some darks. And before you do that, the best thing is just to do a wash of asphaltum, which we're going to do in a minute. Okay, so it needs a little something on this branch, looking kind of left out and forgotten. I think I added an extra little twig there. So yeah, so at OKC, if you're going to that, I'm teaching 2 classes. Can't share with you right now what those are. But I am also going to have a booth. So, alrighty, now I'm just going to take that number 8 flat again and get some asphaltum. I want to make it nice and inky. Again, when you do a wash, you've got more water or medium in your brush than you do paint. And look how that, oh, I love that. It makes it brighter, doesn't it? Look how pretty that is compared to this, which has the same exact colors on it without the wash. Okay. Now I see that I have some dark there. I'm going to fix that just because it looks a little off to me. So, oops, wrong brush. Is that the wrong brush? Yep, that was the wrong brush. I wanted an 8 flat. And just kind of tap that on. Again, it neutralizes it, but it just brings it all together and I think gives it a very natural look. So I'm going to keep that number 8 flat. Pick up a little bit of the deep ochre and warm white. And I just want to come in and maybe do a couple little highlights right here. I just felt like since there was so much of that branch showing, I love that part right there and there and there. Okay, so am I going to be able to mimic it exactly? No, and that's okay. Okay, we're going to leave that, rinse that out. Yes, she did, Lisa, several years ago. Very, very sad. Such a talent, so sweet. Okay, so the flowers. Again, what I did was I base coated them in with white and a touch of pink. I would say 3 times the amount of white to 1 part of that baby pink, just to make a nice, very pastel, soft pink color. But again, it's more on the white side than the pink side. So let's just come in and clean up some of these edges so I did 2 coats and that Y is in the way, so just go over it. But let's get some of this branch stuff off. In fact, I think one of the first classes ever that I took at Creative Painting Convention in Vegas was with Trudy Beard. She had a beautiful style. She was so incredibly sweet. So talented. Okay. Now, let me dry that. And while I'm drying that, we'll tell you the flowers. And when you guys order my packet, there are step-by-step pictures that I share and show, giving you a better idea. I really need to fix that right there, but I will show you how. And I'm gonna fix it now because it's gonna aggravate me. But what I'm talking about is, see how that petal went outside the petal there? I don't want to make that petal bigger or longer. So remember last week on the lesson, I told you how you can use your background color as your eraser. So just come back in with your background color, and I could come in and take away some of that petal. And I think I want to take away even more. I think I'm going to take away right to there. And then I will come in with my branch color. Always a way to fix it. We'll just put a little bit of that branch in there. Okay, I'm going to leave it for now. That petal color. These are really super simple to paint. Again, just layered with color. So the color I used, hi Sherry Fisher, so good to see you on. So magenta, quinacridone magenta, the media line, love, 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 as you guys know, highly pigmented. A little goes a long way. You do not need much. So I'm going to float with that, but it can also be very, very bright. So I'm going to show you how to tone it down. All right. So we're going to rinse that brush out. And I'm going to take some, so on my kind of damp brush, do yourself a favor, put a couple little water droplets on your palette so that if you need more water, you can come over and get it. A little bit of that quinacridone magenta. I'm not going to have a place to load it on my brush, but let me just show you here. That's how I'm loading it every time. On the toe only. Okay, and then I am going to walk it out slowly just to kind of get that to not be as bright. And what I want to do first, I love to give myself placement and shape first, meaning like these two petals that touch. Okay, I want to come in and float that color. So where they meet, and then just along the base. And then I'm just going to slightly bring that up just a little bit. Okay, so again, picking up some more. And then where they don't meet, again, I'm still going to just pick up some of that, slide that down. The toe has the paint. Float that on. And you want to make sure that you soften that. So I'm using the IPC medium soft flat top. I'm just going to soften that look. And again, you might get a little bit darker here than you do there. That is perfectly great. Pat yourself on the back if that happens. Again, it's not cookie cutter. So a little bit there. And if it comes up a little bit higher on some, again, same thing. Fantastic. Because one thing I do love on my finished one, and when you look at cherry blossoms or flowers for that matter anyway, you might have some color that's a little bit more intense, some that's a little bit softer, and again, it gives it shape, it gives it that flip, but they're all slightly different. And that's the other thing with brush mixing, like we did with the baby pink and the white. I love that as well because, again, it's not right out of the bottle. I'm going to have maybe a little bit pinker petal here than I do over here, and that's great. It's going to give that overall flower and design just a really pretty look, not cookie cutter. I have a little bit of a line there, but I'm going to fix it when we come back with the petals. Hi, Patrick. Bonjour. It's bedtime for you in France, right? Thanks for checking in. Yes, those temperatures, oh my goodness, they're horrible. That Arctic blast that has come through again, that's why I put on this shirt that's very summery today. And our youngest is up in Connecticut and freezing. So again, I'm just floating that quinacridone magenta, and then again, kind of soften it out. 1 or 2 petals, and then you still have time to soften it. We're going to strengthen this and tone it down. It's a little pink for me, and pink's my favorite color. In fact, magenta, like hot pink, is my favorite color. So, but even this is just a little too in my face, so we're gonna tone it down. At this stage, you don't need to worry if you've got a darker shading than a lighter shading. Again, when we come back and do a second pass through with the other color, you'll take care of all that. Okay. Hello. Wrong side. Just tap that on. Do you teach putting droplets of water on your palette for floating? I believe I had you for a teacher a long time. I do. Actually, I learned that years ago from Lana Lamb. So, alrighty. So a little bit more. And again, every 2 or 3 petals, go ahead and soften it. All right. Now, remember I said that Y is in the way. So when things are in the way, I tend to just go over them. And then we'll bring it back. And then again, kind of soften that out. A little bit of that water, a little bit more of the quinacridone magenta, work it in, slightly walk it over just to take some of that color away. Soften it out. So the thing when doing these, especially if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. That it's hard for me to do this and then also look up. Hi, Sherry. Good to see you on. So I will go back and look at any questions you might have, okay? So Sherry Fisher, I'm using the medium soft flat top. It's the IPC. IPC stands for ink, pastel, and chalk. Makes a great mop. So, and I wash mine with a little hand sanitizer, let it evaporate, and that's how I clean it. So, and always rinse it really well, and then I use my Masters, let me get that. Because when you use hand sanitizer on brushes, just like on rubber stamps or anything else, it's an alcohol agent. It can dry your stuff out, and I don't want it to ruin my brushes. So then I do a little cleaning with the brush soap after, and just to make sure that I get that hand sanitizer out of there. All right, where was I? All righty, so we're gonna do here. But again, giving yourself that a little bit of guidance first, like, okay, where are these petals and how are they formed and shaped? And this little shading right here can start to tell you that. I do have it on my website, yes. I have that brush and the brush I'm using right here, the angle. Don't forget to use that discount code, ART, all capitals, and make sure to hit apply, because if you don't hit apply, it's not going to take it. All right, let's do this little bud, kind of a little folded. So we're just going to do at the base of those petals, and I'm slightly walking it up. As you can see, the toe has the paint on it, and I'm just going to slightly walk that right along the bottom. and then soften that out. Now, these tiny, tiny little buds, super cute. Just a little bit of color. Let me see if I can do it where my hand's out of the way. Little at the base of it. I'll go along the... So I'm just kind of floating that color on around the base, up a little bit. On that side. Okay, so they're gonna look kind of pink for now. Let's soften that. Okay, but look at the difference. Now, what kind of really tones this whole color is asphaltum. The asphaltum is going to give it, it's just going to neutralize that pink and make it a lot prettier. So the IPC, there are some pointed ones, and then there are also the flat top ones. And they also have a deer foot. There are a lot of different brushes in that line. Okay, so now I am going to come in with some quinacridone magenta. Let me get my palette over here. Some asphaltum. And what you're going to see, and look at the difference on my palette even, the rich color you get, whereas this is more vibrant and bright. So Robin Richard, thank you so much for posting that. I appreciate that. And so now I'm going to put that more at the bottom, in between petals, for sure, and at the bottom. Just start bringing that color up just a little bit, and again, softening that out with the mop. But look at the difference between those two petals and all the other petals. That's with the asphaltum. Okay, now you could just put asphaltum over it, but I do like to float them together. I don't know, you just get a really pretty color mixing the two. So, and I don't mix it down with a palette knife to make one puddle of that color. Again, because brush mixing, I'm going to get a variation. And there really is something magical about that variation in your color. Okay, instead of it just being out of the bottle or mixed down to one color. So, all right, let's mop that. And this one I know goes underneath there. And if you get too high, or like I said, you know, on some of these where I have a line, like right there, very defined pink line, we're going to fix that when we do the edge of the petals, okay? I would say it's probably a good mix of the magenta and asphaltum. All right, oop, that went over my whole brush. I'm going to rinse it. Yes, the pointed ones are awesome too. And you can float with those pointed IPC brushes too. Lots of different things you can do with them. Okay, so again, some will look a little more, you know, have a little more of that brown in it. Like that one got really brown. Some will be a little bit more pink, but again, much more toned down than that, right? And I am doing just a very loose float of color. It's almost like a tiny little sea. It's just the way I like to float. A lot of different ways. You learn it from a lot of different people, different ways. And my thing is always do what works best for you and what feels right. If it feels like you're forcing it and just does not feel natural, then play around with it until you know, find what works. And it might be a combination of things. Every time my brush gets, you know, the paint goes migrating all the way over, I rinse my brush out. Okay. So guys, don't forget, like, comment, share. That'll get you entered into the drawing for the giveaways that I will give away next week. I put those into the wheel. I can't do that here without a Renee to do that for me. So Although when my husband retires, I told him I'm putting him to work. All right, so a little bit here. Oh, just look at that rich color. Apple blossoms, you can paint apple blossoms the exact same way. Okay, cherry blossoms, you know, sometimes you see them really, really pink, or they have more white. So same thing with the apple blossoms. I think they have 5 petals. I don't know. They might have 4. Let's turn that around. Okay, Sandy. Sometimes I get going and I completely forget to mop it, but I can always tell which ones I didn't. All right, little quinacridone gold, little asphaltum, tiny bit of water. Howdy for a second, Rebecca. You must be working today. Okay, and a little bit more. So this petal, that petal does go under that petal. So I'm just going to float. And we'll intensify those later, the ones that go up underneath, but for now, that's funny, Robin. You told your husband that and he went back to work. I think mine probably will do that too. He's gonna be like, I need to go to work so I can rest. Because I will, but he already does all my books, thankfully. In fact, we did this weekend, we did every month I do my inventory and he does all my books and paperwork and stuff instead of waiting till the end of the year, which is nice, but it's not fun to do. I usually push back like, oh, I have to. Okay, so a little bit more. Let's get in on these couple that we've missed. Oh, my paint is migrating over the whole brush. I think it's my runway more than anything, and let me show you why. See that? So when I go here, guess what it's doing? It's picking it up there too. So, you know, if that happens, just turn your brush so you go to the edge of it. Where was I? There. A little bit more in there. And I do think I want to get this one right here. A little bit deeper. Alrighty, let's turn that around. Okay, so it's looking very pink. You have an ornamental Japanese cherry. Oh, that sounds beautiful, Donna. Okay, so now I am going to take that angle brush with white on the toe of my brush, work that in, and again, a little bit of water on your brush just to get that to move. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to float that color on, but I don't want to just do like that, okay? I'm going to float that color on, and then I'm going to bring it down a little bit and float it and bring it down a little and float it and bring it down. And then let's mop it. Okay, now what that's going to do, again, is it's going to give that petal some variation in color where you have some of that pink and white going through each other. And I love the look of that. Okay, again. And we are going to help those petals separate more at the very end when we outline things. Okay, so again, just I'm tapping like a little C stroke, but bring it down every now and then so that it, like I really like the pink there. So I'm going to start there, bring it down, and then I'll just slightly bring it over. And again, tap with your mop. Okay, so look at the difference and how brighter those are. Hopefully you're seeing that on camera. And seeing the difference of the ones that haven't been done. Okay, so in this one, again, just tap it. going to do that for all of the petals. And I'm using titanium white. Get a little bit more. And so when your brush starts to drag, not moving, you need a little bit more moisture and a little bit more water, or a little bit more medium. Okay, and then tap, 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 tap. And don't have a lot of paint on my brush either, because I do like to be able to control how much I'm putting on, so it's not really fully loaded. Again, bring it down every now and then just to get some of that kind of feathering through the color. I love doing these type lessons and showing, because, you know, a packet, you can only write so much. And I'm pretty wordy. If you have one of my packets, you know I'm pretty wordy. But unless you see it, it might just sound like gibberish when you read it. Like, huh? What do I have to do with that brush? Get my hand out of the way. So see, like I said, if you got something a little too dark, even though I know I want shading there, you can still soften that look by putting that top of that petal on. Now, I did do something there. I want to show you. It's a good place. So it's kind of dark and pink, and then it's white, right? Come in with like maybe even just the toe and tap on a little white here and there. Okay, see how that kind of broke up that pink? Alrighty, let me see if same thing here. This one's a little, this one to look a little more natural. Okay, so more water. And right there. You could also even take a mezzaluna brush and do a little dry brushing on the petals, just to bring some of that white down, so it's not all just along the top. Keep forgetting where I'm going. Like there. Oh, love it. And that's my number one rule in painting. If you like it, leave it. If you don't, figure out a way to fix it. There's always a way to fix it. And it's usually backtracking what you did before. So if I get this too light, I'd go back to my colors that I put on before, which is that magenta and a little bit of asphaltum. Thank you, Linda. Cloudy, South Carolina. We have, Brenda, we have beautiful sun here today in Georgia. It's chilly, but it's been kind of all over the place. We've had temperatures in the 70s and supposed to be like 39 tomorrow or something like that, and then in the 50s. So, but nothing compared to all y'all dealing with this ice and snow, and no thank you. Okay, so bring, like here, I'm just going to bring some of that white and kind of tap it in place. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, now let's get this other flower done. I have to rinse out my brush because my paint has migrated. And I don't know about y'all, but oftentimes when that does it, I fight it. And I'm just like, oh, I'm going to make it work. It doesn't work. Rinse your brush out. I don't think I did that one. And that one looks too exact. Okay. Now I am going to take that white and again, right along the top here, and I'm going to pull down some lines. A little bit more, and we'll accentuate those a little bit more when we outline some things. And do I have it on that one? I have just a little bit on that one. Okay. On these little tiny buds, we'll put a little highlight on those. I could put my brush down and get the mop, or just use your next best blender, which is your finger. Okay. Alrighty, now we are going to accentuate some of these, the shading a little bit more. So some quinacridone magenta, some asphaltum, a little water in my brush. I'm gonna come right over here. Oops, too much water. And I know that I want to separate like some areas there. So see how that lifted that petal off of that one, and then just softly mop it out. That one to go under there. I know that that petal is going to go under there. And it'll make more sense too when we outline it. Now, this kind of goes along with our lesson that we did last week with doing a flip. So see how that's just very flat? I can come in with that toe and do just a little bit of shading there, and see how that made that edge of that petal curl. Oh, I love things like that. Same here. I've got a nice little shape there, but it needs to stand out a little bit more. So too exact. So I'm going to come in and darken it in a couple of areas. There we go. Okay. And then under that petal, I'm going to put a little shading right there. When you colored in your coloring books or crowns, did color as fast as you paint? Probably. I do paint fast. I used to paint, I paint fast on camera, especially if I've done something before, but I have to tell you, since the pandemic, I find that I am slower at painting with my designs than I ever have been, and it's sometimes extremely frustrating, but I'm enjoying it, so. Okay, so we'll put a little shading under that petal there. Soften that out. That softening just goes a long way. Look how they're starting to take shape. Oh, I love that. Put a little one there. Again, I always try to go to my piece with less paint on my brush. It's easier to add more than to try and take it off like I did there where there's too much. Okay, same thing with this petal. Let's kind of create a little bit of a flip. So see how that just gave that petal an edge? This one on my original doesn't have an edge, but it kind of needs a little bit more shading right down there in that middle section. And what do you guys think of that quinacridone magenta and the asphaltum? Such a such a beautiful color combination, right? So we'll put a little under that petal. And the way it can totally manipulate that, the look of how pink it is, and tones it down. I'm going to do a little there with some Payne's Gray. And then we'll get a little bit underneath there. Got a little too much there. And I like to fix it when I do it, so, or I'll forget. A little bit of white. Just going to soften that out just a little. Actually, I think I'm going to have to backtrack. Okay, let me see where else. I'm going to do some of that at the base of these buds, a little bit more richer color so that they're not so pink. And if you like the pink, leave it. That's, again, that's the great thing about art. Okay. So let's come in. I have, I used just a tiny touch. I didn't do any leaves on this piece, funny enough, right? But a little bit of antique green, and I'm going to show you a couple. I did not do it on the branch, but I'm going to show you how it can look over that branch. But I used a little tiny touch, just a little. Hi, Barb. A little bit of water, a little bit of that antique green at the base, right over, because it has like that yellow cast to it. So you're going to get a little bit of that yellow, which I love. But I also want to come back up with some asphaltum onto these buds and make them look like they're attached. Okay, let me this one has, so I'm just doing like little strokes with the toe of that brush. Okay, there we go. But that antique green, oh, so pretty. If you wanted to, because you know how sometimes there are branches that have some green to them, but if you wanted to put some of that green on, look at that right there. Pretty. I, again, didn't do it on my original, but I think it's got a nice little color to it. All righty. Now let's take care of the centers. Just a little bit of asphaltum. And all I'm going to do is with my corner of my brush, I'm just going to tap in a little bit of that asphaltum. I'm just using like a number 4 flat. Okay, just very random. Tap, 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 and leave it. And then let's dry that. Yeah, so like Sandy on this one, look at that. See that little touch right there in that corner where my fingernail is? That's the antique green on that white and that pink. And look how things look when they're really, really close up, right? First off, let it focus. But they're just kind of sketchy. It's just little lines of something. But when you look at it further away, you know, kind of like the Mona Lisa. It's a hot mess up front or up close, and then better looking when it's pulled out. Okay, so liner brush, doesn't matter what liner you use. I'm going to use, I think, what do I have here? I have a 2, I don't think I want that one. I'm going to use a 0 rigger, and I might have to switch depending on how thick my line gets. But right here, I did not make that petal big enough, so I'm going to come in with a little bit of magenta right next to that center and just paint in that area. Okay. So let's see. So a little bit of white, titanium white. And I'm going to loosely outline these. I want to dry that first because I'm going to get my hand right in it. Okay, so kind of loosely outline. Yep, too thick. So I'm going to switch to a smaller. Whatever your liner brush of choice is, I just don't want the lines real thick. And I also like to take away where they start and end. This one, wow, this is a 10-aught liner. There's a 10-aught rigger as well. But you can kind of give your petal a little bit of shape if it didn't have a lot of shape before. A little wiggle on the end there. And then we'll do this one. That little touch right there, see how that made that petal come up and over? And again, just kind of slide your finger down where you started or stopped it so that you get rid of that start and stop line. Where it ends in the center is not going to matter too much because it's going to be covered with a bunch of stamens. So it's a good place to start when you're outlining because again, it's going to be pretty much covered up. So this one I just have, that petal shape is bothering me, but and then where we did that little shading, you can accentuate that even more when you brighten that up. But need water in your brush. You want that to flow right off your brush, and if it's not, then you need to make your paint a little bit inkier. Thank you, Sandy. Alrighty. And then let's go up here. And it just helps separate them and again bring them a little bit more of an edge. Just loosey-goosey, doesn't have to be exact. But can you see pansies? What plumeria, love that flower, very tropical flower, where they kind of almost like pinwheel. That little line will do that for you. And you don't even have to do around the whole edge of the petal. You just want to make sure you wipe away where it looks like it starts, so it doesn't, you don't see the start line. Oh, and this one, so this is the one that was bugging me, but watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little bit more white, and we did this last week on that lesson with the flips and things like that. So I'm going to give this petal a little bit more of a flip. So I'm going to pull from here, and I'm going to push a little bit more on that brush. Okay, so maybe it's a little more curled up, and it'll look better when we do a little shading there. Thank you, Brenda. I like this one too. It's springy and fun and very, very easy. Just layering those colors. If you go outside, just push it right on. It's just going to add to that petal color. Okay, now the bud right here, or the folded flower. Hi, Joe. Absolutely. You can go back and watch it from the very beginning. It'll be here and on my YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us. Okay, so with the white, what I want to do is I want to come in and I'm going to give a little bit of a line there. And then I'm going to pull down some whiter lines here. I'm just going to go over that. Pull down some whiter lines. On this one, oops, a little too much water. And then on that little guy that flips right there, I'm going to outline that. Okay. Now, just like we did for those little buds, I've not done it for this, is we need to make this flower more attached. So see how it's just right at the end of the branch? We want to look like it's coming from that branch. So a little bit of asphaltum, touch of Payne's gray, and I'm actually going to bring that onto the flower. And then let's dry that. So I'm using a 10-aught liner brush to get the little white flip and outline. Wendy, the color, like the shading to initially make that flip, I used quinacridone magenta and asphaltum. Okay. And then I see one right here. I want to add, make sure your piece is cooled off before you go to it. But like those two right there, see how they're just so together? Watch what I'll come in and I can come up on the petal and down. Again, just gives a little bit of movement. A little bit more movement. All right, I'm going to come in with the magenta and touch of asphaltum. Oh, nope, that's Payne's gray. So if you use the media line and you don't have quinacridone violet, quinacridone magenta and Payne's gray actually make quinacridone violet, which is what I just made, but that's not what I want. I want the color that we used to shade, which was quinacridone magenta, asphaltum. And I'm going to bring it there. Again, just kind of really, really separate those petals a little bit more. Like that. Let's soften that. And where I did that flip, but you really can't see it, watch what you can do with the dark. You can bring the dark in, bring that toe over and down. So that's going to make that petal look like it's coming away from the flower now a little bit than where it was just laying on it, right? And then let's get the shape of that one's bothering me. We'll pull down and then re-accentuate that one, just like that. And then on that, we need that, that twiggy branch look, right? So a little bit of asphaltum, a little bit of deep ochre, a little bit of warm white, and I'm just going to use the rigger brush or liner brush. Kind of tap that on. There we go. And then I'm also going to take that green gold, excuse me, it's not green gold, it's antique green. Hello. And I'm going to put that, make sure it's not hot. Put a little bit there. And I even like to put a little bit on the petal. I'm going to put some that petal and on that branch. Just didn't get enough last time. Oh, that looks so pretty with that pink. Okay, let's make this look like it's got more than one layer. Put a little bit of white down. Alrighty, now let's take care of the center. So get a little bit of, and this is again just a zero rigger, that deep ochre and a little bit of white. And I'm just literally loading it up on my brush. Deep ochre, a little bit of white. Doesn't matter if it's warm white or titanium white. And we're just going to tap it right in the middle. Tap, 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 tap. It'll look better than just drawing a circle. You can even touch it to soften it out. Okay. Thank you guys. Yes, that outlining I think does an amazing job just to bring it all together. And like we did with the lines, you know, like especially on here, bringing those lines down, we did it with the angle brush. You could come back with your rigger or your liner if you wanted to accentuate those even more, and you could pull down some, you know, some little lines and then soften it with your finger. Okay, so let's get the glare off there. See those tiny little lines? Very subtle, but again, it breaks up you having a straight line of color. So maybe it needs just a few lines, right? Okay. Now, let's go to the stamens, and I'm going to get out, I'm going to use the rigger again, quinacridone, magenta, and asphaltum. Water in your brush. Quinacridone, magenta, asphaltum. Let's just kind of slightly work that in. And I'm going to pull out or pull in, oh, wiped off too much, little lines. So, more random the better, but you want to go with the flow and shape of your petal or your flower center. Okay, you don't want to just do them straight. So, and they can go over the folds as well. Or the flip. That's why I went ahead and did them, because you know you might have some stamens that go right up over. That one's a little long. I might switch. This one's giving me a little bit of a problem, so I'm going to switch to a smaller 10-aught. I just don't want them thick and long, too long. I want to be able to control where they go. Oh yeah. My directions say a 0 because that's what I used, but I switched to a 10-aught. Don't make them too long, Sandy. They don't need to be too long. They don't need to be pretty, okay? They just need to look like lines that are random. different lengths. So think of like parentheses. The ones on the edges are like the shape of a parenthesis, and then the ones in the center are a little bit straighter. Okay, get my hand out of the way. There's some that are long and thick. But as with everything, there's a way to fix that. Hello, I left that flower off. And give you guys whiplash, all this turning and twirling, and I still like my hand to be right in the way. Again, this is quinacridone magenta and that asphaltum, same color that we used to do a lot of that shading. Let's see, did I miss anywhere? No. All right. Hi, Andrea. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I want the, let me show you the stamens. Okay, they are little dashes, little lines, and we're going to do it with the quinacridone magenta and asphaltum. Same thing I did those little stamens with, and then come back with a little bit of white to kind of highlight those. All right, so when you do those, random, quick, and just little dashes, and go on the lines and off the lines. So I'm going to go on the lines, and what that on the line is going to do is it's going to make that look thicker. Now, do cherry blossoms have this many stamens? I didn't count them. You can do less if you want. You can do more. I wouldn't do more, but you could certainly do less. Okay, so see all those tiny little dash lines? Again, on the line, off the line, above the line. Just add a little dimension. Random, random, random. Someone's outside shooting a gun. I do live in rural Georgia, so it's not surprising. Okay, so see, like here, all the lines are, you can see those straight lines come onto those lines. Again, that, you might have a stamen that's kind of curled up, and that's exactly what that is going to give you, that look of. And I did do 2 layers on my letters. That's so boring to sit there and watch me base coat those in again, but I am going to show you how I shaded them and also how to fix that Y that was in the way. Okay, so just tiny, tiny little stroke, little dash. And they don't all have to go sideways. You can have some that go down. Again, when you do them random and fast, you tend to get them going all different directions, and that's great. That's exactly what you want. Hi, Vera. Good to see you on. Hope you're doing well over there and warm. Probably not. Okay, so again, a little asphaltum, a little quinacridone magenta. Oops. And you'll be able to tell too if they're like too brown, too pink. Like those were just all asphaltum, so I added a little more pink to it. Same. All right, let's turn that around. Okay. Just kind of look at it and see if there's anywhere that, and then I'm going to take that, rinse it out, pick up a little bit of white, and I want to do fewer little highlights. Again, random. Don't sit there and look for a line, just paint a line. And it's going to hit one of them or some of them, okay? So, random and quick. It's going to get you a much better look than going 1, 2, 3. You'll be there forever. And it'll look forced, and this is just easier, and you'll get a better result. Okay. A little tedious, but fun just to see it all come together, right? And I think fairly easy. Thank you, guys. Again, a little bit of paint on your brush. You don't want a big glob of white, or you're putting those on, just a little touch. Okay, I'm going to come back with a little bit of white, that yellow oak or deep ochre, just a little bit more white. I think I want to kind of highlight that a little bit more. All right, let me back out just a touch. Okay, so remember our Y is over the flower, and since it was in the way, I took it away, but I'm just going to come right back in and put it back in place. And I'll do 2 layers on that, letting it dry in between. Let's let that set up, and let's take care of the butterfly, which has very little to it. I used a 1/4 inch angle. Thank you, guys. And some phthalo blue. I wanted a pop of color to go with that pink and white, and this color was it. So phthalo blue. Now, looking at this one, how much darker it is. I think I got a little carried away with the dark. So again, your background, you can make it as light or as dark as you want. And I could even lighten that up if I wanted to. I could come in a little bit of white on that stencil brush and lighten it up. But okay, I digress, sorry. Angle brush, 1/4 inch angle, a little bit of water. Little tiny, tiny, tiny touch. There's enough there for all of us to paint this butterfly, because look how strong that color is. Okay. And I'm going to start out light, and I'm just doing a nice soft little float of color. I base coated it with white. And then we'll do the butterfly wings. And again, don't be afraid to come in with that mop and soften. Okay. I like the sketchy, uneven. We're going to outline it, but again, that very loose float, just kind of zigzagging in and out. A little bit more. And you can use black, or you can just use Payne's Gray. And since I have Payne's Gray out, that's what I'm going to use for the head and the body. And I'm just going to slide on that toe to paint that. Okay, now let's dry that. And then I'm going to come back with some white on the toe of that brush. You can see there on my palette, just on the toe only. And again, I can go along that edge and just kind of bring it down every now and then, just to brighten it up. Soften it with your finger or soften it with the mop. I'm going to have black around the edge anyway, but if that blue migrated, which it did a little here, just gonna bring some of that white onto the wing. Bring it down just like we did on the petals. Okay. Let's dry that. Now I'm going to use a pen. You can use a liner brush with black paint. My go-to, I love the Idena pen, the fine tip on it. These Deli Mates that you can get at Amazon, they have a fine tip as well. You can go over painted pieces. You can paint over the pen. It's not going to bleed. But basically, let's see if that works. That's good. Basically, I'm going to outline it kind of loosely. Oop, can't see it. It always helps when you're using a pen to be able to see where you're going. And if your hand's in the way, position it so that you can see where your pen is headed. See, I can't see it there. Okay, and then I am going to do a little squiggly there. And then this, since it's folded up a little, just has a little one. Now areas like this, I typically don't do with the pen because I don't want to waste my ink. But then I can come in and do just little like teardrop loops. I did 3. On that one, I think I did 1 on the centers, on the lower wing. No, I did 3. Okay, and then I will come back with the liner, almost the color of my walls, with that Payne's Gray, but again, you can use black. I think the directions call for black, but Payne's Gray is my go-to. Alrighty. And then we will dry that. You could always come back in those little loops and pull a little bit of white if you wanted to. Don't forget, guys, that background that it is on my YouTube channel from a couple weeks ago. All right, that same liner brush, just pick up a little bit of white and very random. Again, make sure there's no water on that ferrule or it's going to drip right down. Tiny little white dots. Again, I'm just random. And then I will add just a touch. So load up your liner brush and swipe it off, but just a touch right on that center of the body. Okay, just to highlight it a little. Thank you, Molly Ann. I appreciate that. Okay, let's take care of these cast shadows. My favorite thing to do. Okay, so I have a number 2 flat, water in your brush. Come over to your Payne's Gray. The great thing about this Payne's Gray is it's transparent and it just gives you a very natural shadow. So you want to test it. Let's see, what do I have here? You want to test it, see if it's too dark. I would always rather go lighter and then darken it if I need to, okay? But I like to go on the right side of my letters. So I'm going to, and this might need to be a little bit darker because nope, that actually did well. So underneath the letter, the side. You can use your rigger brush if you want to, because it's also going to go flat. I just like that look, that those stand up and off the surface, right up underneath that Y. And I did 2 layers on my letters, but if you get into it, typically what I'll do is 1 layer, and then I do the shading, this, and then I will come back and do another layer just to get rid of anything that I went on top of my letter with. Okay, but see how that just makes that pop up and stand right off that surface? Let's come down here and we'll do, I'm gonna go there. Up underneath. Oops, too wide. And this B, let me just say, the letter B got really wide from my original, my line drawing. Look how thin it is. Things like that don't bother me. It used to bug me to no end, and I would have to wipe it off and repaint it. But as long as I can make that letter look good, I'm not too fussed about it. Okay. The S is a little tricky because it's very tight. And then where things go over, I'll show you in a minute. So like where it goes over the letter, like here or here, you'd want to put a little shadow there as well. So you'd have a little shadow there. You'd have a little shadow there. There'd even be a little one right there. And that's what I was talking about, going on top of that letter. And just come back with your paint later and fix it up. Okay. But now with that same brush, again, that Payne's Gray, look what happens. I need a bigger brush for this branch. I'm going to come away from the branch and go to that flower. Oh, love it. Up underneath these petals, especially like these little branches, things like that, I think just looks so cool. Lift it up. You can even go on top of your flower and do the same color combination. So like here, if I did that shadow underneath, I could bring that shadow right on top of that flower petal. And look what it did. It cast that shadow, even though we did shading there, again, it just gives that nice, subtle, soft shading cast shadow. I don't know that I'll ever get tired of doing these. They just, to me, is like that last finishing something that adds to the overall design. Some of these flowers could use some work. And after you're done painting anything, my biggest tip is to always check your lights and darks. If something needs to be adjusted, adjust it. Oh, watch, I'm gonna do it on that one too. There. Yes. And then I think the centers need a little asphaltum. That yellow's a little in my face. So I'm just gonna, just a tiny little wash of asphaltum. Tone it down. All right, did I miss anywhere? I did. I got a little there and there. I think that might be it. What do you guys think? So they don't have Deli Mate in Canada. Oh, that's a bummer. I see that. So initially I did my background on this Michaels, the Artist Loft canvas. These are the canvas panels, and see all the texture in the background, which lends itself, I think, to your design as well. What I painted this one on, I love these. I get them on Amazon, 8x8 canvas panel. Because originally I had done it on canvas too, like a regular canvas, which I don't have right here. I thought I had it handy. But it was an 8x8 gallery wrapped canvas, and it just had too much give. So I like these wood panels. So what I need, splatter. Can't do it without splatter. So I'm gonna do I want to? Yeah. I'm gonna do the Tracy Moreau way of splattering. I normally do on my brush and then I tap it, but I'm gonna use the encaustic wax brush, get it wet, pick up some white paint, swirl it around, make it nice and inky. And then I'm going to flick it just like you would a toothbrush. It might be too fine. I'm going to add this, but then I'm going to do my way too, because I want a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to go to a number 8 flat, pick up more white. And then handle of a brush over a handle of a brush. I just want a little bit more, bigger, and then I'll show you how to tone it down. This. Okay, that brush is horrible. There, was not coming off. Okay, then you want to take a wet brush, and wherever you don't want it, you want to get it up right then. Especially if you've got like one errant little white dot. I like to take those away. And I mean like right there. There's one dot. Get rid of that. It's going to look out of place. Okay, then take a dry paper towel. And just soften it. So you're just going to lay it in place, lightly press, yes. And I'll hold it up so you can see why that makes me happy. Because you have some stained looks that are a little bit more opaque, and then you have them, they look like they're stained splatter. So it's lifted up some of that paint, and to me just softens the look. I don't know. I love that look. Okay, guys. So again, the original, lighter, flowers aren't so big. Tend to get kind of big when I, but I have to say, I love the pink on here too. These edges are a little bit more white. So again, you can change it up, switch it to however you want, make it a little more pink, a little bit more white. And go from there. Do I have paint on my face? I just smeared. Hi, Susan. No problem. It'll be, as soon as we get done, the replay will be available, and it's also on my YouTube channel as well. If you guys are on YouTube and you've not hit that subscribe button, I would love for you to do so. And on Facebook, thank you guys so much. I put out kind of this call to action, if you will. My YouTube channel needed 25 to get me to 3,000, and y'all did more than that. I had 100 new subscribers within that day. So my next goal is 5,000. So share with your friends. Let them know where they can see some painting content and help me get to that 5,000 on my YouTube channel. They let you do a lot of different things on YouTube when you have a certain number. So anyway, thank you, Judy. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Bev. Okay, guys, have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, or what's left of it. A wonderful week. My hair just... Get those brushes out, get that paint out, do something creative. If you're not feeling like doing anything, base coat something, one color. That action, that movement, that motion of being creative is going to help you create more, okay? Have a good one. Talk to y'all later. Bye.